What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 tips for shorter wide receivers to be more successful, to get more separation, just to be a better overall player. So I hope this video can help you guys out. I hope it can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, we are going to be traveling out to 15 states this offseason for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camp. So next up on our camp tour, we are going to be coming out to San Francisco, California. Then we'll be coming out to Orlando, New Orleans, Charlotte, Dallas, the DMV, St. Louis, Honolulu, Hawaii, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Texas, Seattle, Newark, New Jersey, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys are local to one of those cities, we'd love to have you out to one of our off-season camps, 2 days, wide receiver versus DB one-on-ones. Check out that very first link below. If you guys are interested, fellas, let's get started. So now, first thing that a short wide receiver needs to be comfortable with is not forcing their routes and knowing how to read a DB's leverage and the coverage. So let's play this full speed. So this is a clip here from Julian Edelman running this out route versus outside shade press. So this is something that a lot of people struggle with. So anytime that I have to run a route, you got to make sure that we come up to the line and we identify where's the DB's leverage, and that is how you guys structure your plan and what you're going to do on a route. Now, obviously, when you run an out route, so he's running like this 10 to 12 yard out. When you're running an out, ideally, we would love to take an outside release. That's easy. DB's on my inside hip. I could get some separation. But as a shorter guy, I especially cannot force that outside release. A lot of bigger wide receivers, what they'll do in this case is they'll run at this DB. They'll try to just, bulldoze him, swat his hands, take the outside release and go and use their size to your advantage. Now, as a shorter guy, we obviously can't do that. So we have to use my quickness, my IQ to get me separation. So he's outside shade. I'm not going to force it. He's outside shade for a reason, to prevent the outside release, to force everything inside to his safety help. So I have to take that. I have to take what he gives me, and I need to be comfortable getting separation at the top of the route. So you see how Edelman, what he does here is he bursts. He takes the inside release. He gets this DB to open up and run with him. So he does this little stutter move to get that DB to stop his feet so he can get into a position to re-stack. Now, whenever you're running routes, especially as a shorter guy, you got to do the little things right. And we're going to talk about that in a second as well. But you have to understand spacing is super important. Timing with your quarterback is important. And if you're a guy who's on the smaller side, you can't be wasting time getting off of a jam because you're never going to get to the route. And that's going to screw up timing with the QB. You have to keep spacing and rely on yourself at the top of the route to get separation. So if I got this DB who's outside shade, I know my 2 plans of action on this out route are either I'm going to give him a move off the line to get him to hesitate, whether that's like attacking him off the line or whether that's giving this kind of stutter move. And I'm either going to work to restack, or if I can't restack, I'm going to throw him by. But your separation comes when you're a shorter guy at the top of the route. You have to take what the DB gives you. So when he bursts up, again, he gives the stutter, he's able to restack. But now let's say this DB was playing it well. Let's say he was right on his inside hip. Edelman could throw him by. He could take that right hand, put it on his shoulder, put it on his hip, and be able to slip underneath. But he kept spacing and he kept timing. As a shorter guy, we cannot force anything because that is going to get me knocked off my route. So let's go back to the very beginning. Let's play this thing full speed. It's the same deal as if it was the other way, right? Like, let's say his split was a little bit wider and maybe this DB was playing him inside leverage and he had to run a post. What do you think you would do? You wouldn't take the inside release, obviously, right? In a perfect world, we would love to take the inside release, but I can't waste time fighting off a jam with a bigger DB. I got inside shade press. I'd maybe attack it. Let's take the outside release. I either want to restack or I want to throw him by. Take what the DB gives you, especially as a shorter wide receiver. Let's play this thing again, full speed. Great job by Edelman adding some creativity with that little stutter move and then being able to win on that out route. So, like I said in the last clip, as a shorter guy, you have to understand the details of route running because let's face it, you're a shorter guy. You don't pass that eye test. If you're a high school guy and you're trying to get recruited by a college coach and a college coach comes to your practice, comes to your game, you're as a shorter wide receiver, you're not that guy that's going to stand out right when he's looking at the team. You're going to have to stand out by doing other things like getting separation, like being able to run great routes and doing the little things, especially if you were smaller. You have to do everything bigger than the 6'2", 6'4" guy. The little things are not little. So we're going to be looking at a stutter go here from Julian Edelman, some of the common mistakes guys will make and what he doesn't do on this that helps him win on this route. So let's play at full speed. So he gives this little stutter, keeps that head down and is able to widen the distance to make this catch downfield. Those are the little things, fellas. So when he goes here, anytime guys will do a double move, especially if they're on the bigger side, that ball's thrown to him downfield. They want to look at the ball as soon as possible. They don't emphasize the little things. So when he goes up into this stutter go, he sits, he drops those hips, he changes levels to get both of these DBs to stop their feet and try to drive. So now, this is where a lot of guys will go wrong. They'll do double moves like an out and up, like a sluggo, like a stutter go like this. But immediately after they do that first move, they start looking back for the ball. Now, when you start looking back for the ball right away, what does that do? That slows you down because your chest pops up. You're automatically running slower when you're looking back for that ball. And that's something you cannot afford as a shorter guy, especially if you're maybe not the fastest guy on the field. Especially you got to be a short wide receiver to have success. You got to have some kind of speed, but you don't have to be the craziest, fastest guy in the world if these details help you out. So these details can get you separation. He gets them to sit, but he pumps his arms. He keeps his head down. He's focused on widening the distance. He got open, but let's stay open. And that's something that not enough wide receivers know how to do. And you see how when he gets over the top, this is another thing. I'm going to add this in there as kind of a bonus tip. You have to be able to make every single catch that's thrown your way. As a smaller dude, they automatically think, oh, he can't make these catches over the middle, downfield, because he's on the smaller side. He's going to have to catch anything quick. He's going to have to catch bubble screens for that matter. You have to make these tough catches. If you guys are trying to stand out on film, let's say you're a high school receiver, so you're a college receiver, maybe trying to transfer to a bigger school, but you're undersized, this is how you stand out on film. College coaches want to see explosive playmakers. Nowadays, they want to see guys who can win one-on-one matchups, so your route running is insanely important, but they also want to see reliable pass catchers. Who are the guys that can make every single catch? Who can I rely on? And being able to do that is a great way to stand out and be one of the better, shorter wide receivers on your team. And this is a perfect example of that from Edelman. He does everything top to bottom correct. Sits down on the double move, keeps his head down to drive, and he's looking that thing all the way into his hands, picture frame catch, because that is what it takes to make those tough catches. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. So again, second tip and third tip, make sure that we know the little things are not little when you're a shorter guy. You got to do all the small things right. And to stand out on film, you better catch every ball. So now, how do you guys get separation as a wide receiver, against a talented DB? When you're on the shorter side, he's on the bigger side, maybe he's pretty good, and that's by adding some creativity to your route running. So this is an example of Edelman running another out route, but he has inside shade coverage. So when we talked about this, right, we got to know the leverage of the DB, pre-snap, post-snap. We have to realize where he is. We're always trying to gather info on this guy. So let's play at full speed. So Edelman comes out here, and he does this fake throw-by move and is able to win on this out route. So let's talk about it, right? So if I got inside shade coverage, right, that's what Norman is. Inside shade. What is he trying to do? He's trying to force you outside. This is very similar to what we talked about earlier, right? We talked about that out route when he's outside shade. Not going to force it. This guy's inside shade. I have to run an out route. Cool. He's giving me the outside release, but I got to know how to run this route as well. So what a lot of guys would normally do, the bigger guys, the bigger wide receivers, they would just burst up to the depth and maybe try to step on his toes, break it off, and use their size to win. They would lean into him, whatever. But as a shorter guy, maybe we don't have that advantage, and we want to be a little bit more creative with what I do. So Edelman sells like what you would do if you had an inside breaking route, which is a throw-by move. Remember, we talked about that. We talked about that with that out route. If he was running an out route versus outside shade, he's either trying to restack and go, or if the DB's here, we're trying to slip underneath and throw by. So we're trying to sell like I have inside coverage and I'm running a dig. So I would either try to restack or slip under and throw by. So that's what he's trying to sell. We call this a fake throw by move. So he breaks down, he slips to that blind spot underneath the DB, so now the DB can't see him. He gives a little head and shoulder fake to the inside, and look at the space he's able to create to the outside. Now I'm going to tell you this right now. This is probably a rollout or play action play, because this is not something you want to do on a timing 10-yard out. I recommend this if you're on the younger side of things, because usually you don't run this out unless it's a sprint out. I recommend to do this more so on a dig, not so much an out route. But you have to, and how you would do that is you'd only do it when the DB's outside shade. So you have to run a dig, he's outside shade, you push up vertical, you snap down, act like you're throwing by, and then break back inside. But this is a very, very creative way to get separation, and this is a great showcase of how a short wide receiver can operate. To get separation, to be successful, you have to add some creativity to your route running. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Edelman, threatening like he's throwing by, getting that DB to flip and operating in that blind spot. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. You guys help keep this channel going. So we definitely appreciate all the questions and all the insight you guys give. And again, fellas, we are coming out to 15 more states this offseason for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver camps. So check out that very first link in the description below. All the information is there on what we'll be covering for the 2 days of training. It's 8 hours of work. We're having DBs out there for the wide receivers to work one-on-ones as well. So check out that very first link below, fellas. I'll see you guys next time.